All right, boys and girls, in this video we are going to be doing lesson 2-1, and the math message for this lesson is we should be able to add and subtract bigger numbers using different strategies. Today in particular we're going to be able to use fact extensions. So we're going to be learning about how to use fact extensions to help us solve bigger problems. Okay, now just a little bit of a warning. This video might go a little bit longer. This is kind of a lengthy math message today, and so I'm going to give you several opportunities where you can kind of pause the video and kind of give yourself a little bit of a break and then come back and watch the video. Okay? All right. So first of all, here's what I'm going to want you to have out and ready. I need you to have either a whiteboard with marker out and ready so that you can do some problems, or just some scrap paper, some blank paper, and a pencil. So if you don't have those things ready yet, go ahead and pause the video so that you can get yourself prepared and then start the video back up. All right, I'm going to give you some problems. I want you to record your answers, and then I want you to think about the patterns that help you solve each of these problems. Okay, so let's look first of all. Let's just do 9 minus 7. Okay, now remember, guys, you can always pause the video. If I ask you to do something, I legitimately want you to really try to do it. So I don't want you to just keep watching this video and not actually be solving the problems. So if I say 9 minus 7 and you don't know it right away, pause the video, give yourself an opportunity to solve it, write it down on your paper. Okay, so 9 minus 7 should have been a pretty easy problem, and you should have gotten 2. Now, what if I ask you to solve 90, whoops, my screen jumped here for a little bit. What if I asked you to solve 90 minus 70? Can you solve that one? All right, before I tell you the answer, let's look and see a little bit of looking at a pattern here, okay? When you solved 9 minus 7, okay, that was a pretty simple problem. You have 9 ones minus 7 ones, okay? So that would be like if you had 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll put my ninth one right there, okay? And I'm going to subtract 7. So then I'm going to subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So then how many do I have left? I have 2 left. So I'm just subtracting ones right now. But let's look at the next problem. When I gave you 90 minus 70, what do you notice? You still have a 9 and a 7, don't you? But how is this number different? Well, 90 would be 9 tenths, and 70 would be 7 tenths. So now you have this pretty much the same problem, except now you have 9 tenths minus 7 tenths. So instead of having a bunch of ones, now I have tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And if I want to subtract 7 tens, I'm going to subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I have 2 tens left. And what is 2 tens but 20? Okay, so 90 minus 70 is 20. So all the numbers are staying the same. It's just we added a 0 on the end because we were talking about tens instead of ones. Okay, so now knowing that pattern and thinking about that pattern should make 900 minus 700 pretty easy, right? Because again, we still have 9 minus 7, but this time we have 9 hundredths minus 7 hundredths. So when we're drawing that out in base 10 blocks, now I have 9 hundredths. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, and I am subtracting 7 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do I have left? I have 2 left, but 2 what? 2 hundredths. Okay, I don't think I went past that. Nope, it just went into the hundreds. Okay, so this is using fact extensions. If you know what 9 minus 7 is, then you should be able to do 90 minus 70 and 900 minus 700. So they're pretty big problems, but you can use what you know with the smaller problems. So that's what we're working on today, is using fact extensions to help us solve bigger problems. All right, so let's try another one. Again, guys, make sure that you have a whiteboard or piece of paper and pencil handy so that you can actually be doing the work. I want you to solve 7 plus 9. If you need to pause the video for a second, do that. All right, 7 plus 9, you should have 16. Okay, when I'm thinking about doing 7 plus 9, I kind of think about giving one of these over to the 10, and I turn that into 6 plus 10. Okay, just a little strategy to help us solve that problem. All right, so now if you know that 7 plus 9 is 16, so again, that's having 7 ones plus 9 ones, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 9 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When I add those together, what do I have? I have 16 ones. Okay, whoops, that's not doing what I wanted it to do. I have 16 ones. All right, so now, knowing that, what if I asked you to solve 70 plus 90? Okay, think about how that's changed. It's still 7 plus 9, except now, what do I have? My screen likes to jump on me. Now, I have, instead of 7 ones like I had up here, now I have 7 tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I have 9 tens instead of 9 ones. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. But still, when I add up all of these tens, how many tens do I have? Well, I have 16. But because it's 16 tens, I'm going to put that 0 on the end. So my answer is simply 160. So then that should make it real easy when we're thinking about 700 plus 900. Because again, we still have 7 plus 9, except this time we have 7 hundreds and we have 9 hundreds. Now I'm not going to draw out all of those hundreds. You know, we draw our hundreds blocks like that. I'm not going to draw all of these out, but boys and girls, if I had 7 of these and I had to add 9 more of these, what am I going to have? Well, again, I'm going to have 16. But 16 what? What are these? They're hundreds blocks, right? So 1600, which is the same thing as 1600. All right. So now just think about, how does knowing addition and subtraction facts help you add and subtract multiples of 10 and 100? And so if we're only adding multiples of 10 and 100, meaning the numbers just simply end in a 0 or end in 2 zeros, then all we have to do is tack on that 0 or those 2 zeros. All right, so let's try another problem. Do 12 minus 5. Pause the video if you need to. All right, when I do 12 minus 5 in my head, I kind of think 12 minus 2 is 10, and then I know I need to subtract 3 more, and I know how to subtract off of 10 very easily, so subtracting 3 more gives me 7. Okay, maybe that's not the strategy you used, but just kind of giving you a little strategy if you had trouble with that. Or another strategy you could do is start with the 5 and count up to the 12. So I know I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I could be doing that with my fingers, and I would have 7 fingers up. All right, so 12 minus 5 is 7. Now that we got that, can we use that knowledge to help us do 120 minus 50? Think about how we could use that knowledge. Again, what do you notice? We had 12 minus 5 up here. We have 12 minus 5 down here too, but what do you notice about this problem? You notice how each one of them ends in 0? That means now it's like having 12 tens minus 5 tens. Well, you knew that 12 minus 5 is 7, so 12 minus 5 is still 7, but it's 7 tens. And remember, with a 10, there's a 0 on the end. All right, so now let's look at this one. You still have 12 minus 5, but look what you have. You have 1200 minus 500. So 12 minus 5 is 7, but then it's not just 7, it's 700. All right, let's move on. Let's do another one. Solve 7 plus 8. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. All right, 7 plus 8, you should have 15. Boys and girls, I know that 7 plus 7 equals 14, and so 7 plus 8 would just be one more. Okay, or I could have used my fingers. I could have started with that bigger number, 8, 9, whoops, I'm holding the eraser here. 8, and then add 7 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could put up my 7 fingers, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, just a couple strategies for helping you to solve it quickly. All right, but now that you know that 7 plus 8 is 15, okay, now you've got that locked in your head. Let's use that knowledge to solve this problem. I'm going to give you a second. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, what did you come up with? 7 plus 8 is 15, but I have 7 tens plus 8 tens would be 15 tens, or 150. And isn't that what 15 tens is? Think about that. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Well, let me just do it this way. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, I got 15 tens. Now think about what 15 tens are. When you have a bunch of tens, can't you trade them in for a 100? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of these traded in for a 100 block, right? And then what do you have left? 50. So 150. All right. Well, then you should be able to do this one very quickly. Pause if you need to. You know that 7 plus 8 is 15, but you have 700 plus 800, so you should have 1,500, or put your comma in, 1,500. Boys and girls, remember when you have a big number and you're putting that comma in, you're using that comma to separate your place value. We always start clear over at the right and we think, okay, ones, tens, hundreds, and then a comma. That comma should separate your thousands and your hundreds. Okay, so you always go 1, 2, 3, and then a comma. All right, let's see what I got on the next screen here. All right, 6 plus 8 is 14. I already solved that one for you. So now I want you to solve, oh, this kind of gets a little bit harder. Okay, let me back up for a second. So now we've been doing a bunch of problems where the only thing that's changed is the tens, changing it to a tens or a one or hundreds. Okay, so now these ones are going to change a little bit more. This gets a little bit interesting. If you need to take a brain break for a second, you can, but I think you can kind of hold off with me for just a little bit longer. All right, let's look at 6 plus 8 equals 14. All right, I already gave you the answer on that. Look at this next problem. Okay, let's ignore the answer for a second. Let's ignore the answer. Let's just look at the problem. How are these two problems alike, and how are they different? You see how in both problems you have 6 plus 8? Okay, both problems you have 6 plus 8. Well, 6 plus 8 is 14. But what do you have in the second problem that you don't have in the first problem? You have 20 more, right? So shouldn't I be able to take 14 and just add 20 more very quickly? Okay, we should, at this point, we should be able to add on multiples of 10 very quickly and easily. Okay, even thinking about our hundreds chart, when I have 14 and I'm adding on 2 more 10s, or I'm adding on 20, so 14, 24, 34, right? That's like skipping down 2 tens on a hundreds chart. So my answer is 34. Okay. All right, now let's look at the next problem. Again, I want us to keep our focus on this first original small problem. If you know that 6 plus 8 is 14, what do you have in this problem? What more do you have in this problem? You've got 40 more, right? So it's going to be 40 plus the 14. So 14 plus 40 more. If I'm thinking about that, 14. Now I'm going to go down 40 more, okay? So 24, 34, 44, 54, right? 14, 10, 20, 30, and 40. All right, so my answer is 54. So these ones weren't quite as easy. I didn't just have zeros on the ends, but if I really just look at my base problem, at that small, just looking at my ones, now I just added on more tens. Okay? All right, let's try another problem. Oh, I have it set for a brain break right now. So if you lasted with me for that last problem, then now would probably be a good time to take a quick brain break, maybe go get a drink, do something around the house if you're watching this video at home, and then come back to me, okay? So pause the video and then come back when you're ready to get started on the next problems. All right, so now let's start looking at some more problems. Let's do 13 minus 5. I'll give you a second to figure out 13 minus 5. You can pause the video. And I know that 13 minus 3 gets me down to 10, but I got to subtract 2 more, so 10 minus 2 is 8. All right, so I got my answer of 8. Or I could have started at my small number and count up to my big number, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so now I know that 13 minus 5 is 8. If I know that, let's see if we can use that to do this problem. All right, what do you notice is different? How is 43 minus 5 different from 13 minus 5? I'm subtracting 5 in both problems, right? But here I have 13, okay? And so I'm going to do this in and I'm going to draw this kind of out like in base 10 blocks. So I have 13, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I was subtracting 5. Here I have 43 minus 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3. All right, so what do you notice now that I wrote it out kind of in base 10 blocks? What do you notice? So I have 3 ones in both of them, and both of them has at least 1 10. How much more am I starting with in this problem? I'm starting off with 30 more, right? So if I'm starting off with 30 more, but I'm still subtracting 5, then shouldn't my answer just be 30 more than my original answer? So my answer would be 38. Okay, now I'm going to be honest with you. The last problems that we did, the ones where they end in zeros, like we went from having, let's see here, 3 plus 2 equals 5. So then I know that 30 plus 20 equals 50. I love these. This is so easy for me to think about. Okay, and even in the last one where I went from adding 6 plus 3 equals 9, so 26 plus 3 equals 29. I still kind of like that too. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to admit to you, when we start using fact extensions like this for subtraction, and probably mainly because, me and my love-hate relationship with subtraction, this is where I think I'm starting to push it a little bit, and these don't make as much sense to me. They really don't even make sense to me why we would even solve problems this way. But you know what? It does sure get us to think. So even though I might not really solve a problem in this manner, I still think it's good for us to pull numbers apart and really kind of use our heads and think outside the box a little bit. All right, so let's do 73 minus 5. Again, guys, I'm always going back up to my first small problem. Okay, or I could even, if I know that 43 minus 5 is 38, then what's the difference between 43 and 73? There's 43. And there's 73. Well, that's the difference of having 4 tens to 7 tens, right? So that's just going to have 3 more tens. So I need to make my answer have 3 more tens, and my answer would be 68. All right, we're going to do, let's see here, hold on a second. Another one of these that's not my favorite, just so you know, because it's subtraction. And I seriously wouldn't think of subtraction this way. 11 minus 6, get that solved in your head. 11 minus 6 is 5. Let's look at the difference now to this next problem. All right, what do you notice about this next problem? You notice that it goes from having 1 10 to 2 tens. The rest of it is the same. So with this problem, I'm starting out with an extra 10. So add an extra 10 onto your answer, and you'll get 15. All right. Now, I can either go back up to this original problem to help me, or I can just go up to this problem and help me. I think I'll just go up to the problem right above it, okay? So here I have 2 tens, here I have 5 tens. The rest of the problem is the same. So if I knew that 21 minus 6 was 15, then I know that 51 minus 6, what's the difference? I'm going from having 2 tens to having 5 tens. That's a matter of having 3 more tens. Add 3 more tens onto this answer, and you've got 45. And I wouldn't solve these problems this way. Honestly, I think it would be just as easy to think, okay, 21 and count backwards 6, or do 51 and count backwards 6. But in this lesson, they want you to try to really kind of think outside the box and look at patterns in numbers and use fact extensions, okay? These last couple problems, pushing it for me. Even as a teacher, even as the math teacher, I think they're kind of silly. All right, so let's do this next problem. I had to kind of take a peek. All right, so 3 plus what equals 10? Pause it if you need to. Really, you should know this one right away, right? 3 plus 7 equals 10. All right, let's see how we need to use that for this one. All right, so now let's look at the difference here. So that means 33 plus 7, or I'm sorry, 33 plus what equals 40? Well, again, if you know that 3 plus 7 is 10, then you should know that 3 plus another 7 will get you to the next 10. What's the next 10 after 30s? Is 40s. Okay. And then again, 83, if you know that 3 plus 7 is 10, so this is the important problem that's going to help you to solve these problems. Then you know that 83 plus 7 equals 90. Because see, we're just getting to that next 10. All right, guys, here's what I want you to do. This is your workbook page. So I want you to go to page, let me see if I can find the page number on here, page 32. All right, so, oops. Go to page 32 in your workbooks. I want you to pause the video. I do not want you to do your workbook page along with me. I really want you to try it on your own, and then you can come back and check your work. with me. Okay, so please, please, please pause the video, be honest, and work this out, and then I'll go over it with you in case you have any problems. Okay, hopefully you have paused the video and hopefully you took the time to do page 32. I will go over it with you real quick and check your answers. Okay, so looking at 12 minus 7, I know that 12 minus 2 equals 10, and so I need to subtract 5 more. So that's going to get me 5. Okay, so 12 minus 7 is 5. All right, so now if I know that 12 minus 7 is 5, then these are the ones that I think are really, really easy. Because look, I still have 12 minus 7. It's just this is 12 tens minus 7 tens. So my answer is going to be 5 tens, which is 50. All right, same thing down here. I have 12 hundreds minus 7 hundreds. So my answer is going to be 5 hundreds. All right, looking at number 2, 8 plus 3, you should have 11. And this one's really easy. I love these ones. 8 plus 3, I still have 8 plus 3, but I have 8 tens plus 3 tens. So that's going to be 11 tens, or 110. 800 plus 300, now I'm going to have 1100. Put my comma in, 1100. All right, 6 plus 8, you should have had 14. Now these are the ones that are starting to get a little bit out there for me. I like those that end in 0, but still with addition, I can still think about that. I still have 6 plus 8, so I know that that's 14, but it's 14 plus 10 more. So I'm going to have 24. Okay, again, I still have 6 plus 8, which is 14, but now I'm going to add on 5 tens. So 14 plus 5 tens, which is 50. Remember, all I'm adding is my tens. All I'm doing is adding 5 tens. So what's 5 more tens? 6 tens, right? So you should have 64. All right, looking at the next one, this is the one I don't like. I do not like fact extensions with this kind of subtraction, but let's do it. 14 minus 9, you should have had 5. Now let's look down here. What's different to this problem? You should notice that you only have one more 10. So one more 10 would be 15. Okay, and then looking at 54, okay, so I'm going to use my first problem to help me do my last problem. I notice that everything else is the same except I went from having 1 10 to 5 tens. So I just added 4 tens. So my answer should be 45. All right, so explain how you used a basic fact to help you solve problem 4. And so if you use the basic fact to help you solve problem 4, you could say something like, let's see here. Since I knew 14 minus 9 equals 5, I just had to add on the extra tens. Because that's all we were doing, boys and girls. You see how the only thing that changed here, I have 5, 5, 5. The only thing that changed was adding on the extra tens that I had in the other problems. All right. Coming down here to number 6, this is just kind of a little bit of a review. Remember, these problems say to use your calculator, but I said your brain is your best calculator. You guys can do these probably without a calculator, but if I wanted to change 33 to 40, so I type 33 into a calculator, what do I need to do to get it to 40? Well, I know I'm going to add something because 40 is bigger. What do I need to add? Well, I know the 3 plus 7 gets me to that next 10, so I'm going to add 10. Okay. Now, if I'm going from 80 to 73, so I punch 80 into my calculator, and I want to get it to 73. Well, I know that gets smaller, doesn't it, from 80 to 73, so I know I'm subtracting. Well, what am I subtracting? Again, knowing tens. I got to get to 10, right? I know that 3 plus 7, I can use addition to help me think of subtraction. 3 plus 7 is 10. That's going to get me up to that next 10 of 80. So this time I'm going to subtract 7. Okay. Even though I thought backwards, right? 80 minus 7 equals 73. But I can still use addition. I can start with 73 and try to count up to 80. All right, so now this one's going to be a little bit harder. I know I'm subtracting, but now what am I subtracting? Okay, I know I'm going to be subtracting 7, okay, because look, I'm going from a 10 to a 3, so I know I'm subtracting 7. If I subtract 7 from 80, let's see, what does that get me to? That gets me to 73, doesn't it? Okay, so how am I going to get to 23? Well, now I'm going from 7 tens to 2 tens. I'm going to have to subtract 50. So 53 altogether. And if you have a calculator at home, you can check yourself on your calculator. All right, so let's look at entering. Now that we got some bigger numbers here, we're going to enter 430, and we need to get to 500. Well, guys, just think about that. Let's take off the 10 for a second. How do we get from 43 to 50? We're going to add 7, right? Well, but it's 43 tens to get to 50 tens. So, whoops, accidentally had my eraser still turned on. So it should be 7 tens. So I need to add 70. All right, now to go from 700 to 640, I know I'm going to subtract, right? And so think of what, let's take off the extra 0. What would it be to get from 70 to 64? If I got a 0 in both problems, guys, I can take off both of those zeros, okay? So 70 to 64, what am I going to have to take off? Again, I need to know numbers that equal 10, so I'm going to take off 6. 70 minus 6 equals 64. But now I don't have just 70, I have 700. So I'm just going to add that 1 0 right back on, and I should have subtracted 60. All right, and now going from 1,000 to 400. So let's see here. I'm going to take off, this has 2 zeros, so I'm going to take off these 2 zeros. We'll put them back on in a minute. I got to make sure I take off the same amount of zeros on both problems. So now I'm going to go from 10 to 4. Well, if I'm going to go from 10 to 4, I know I'm subtracting something. What am I subtracting? 6. But now I got to put those 2 zeros back on. All right, boys and girls, I'm not going to lie to you. I know that for some of you, these things are going to be a little tricky, okay? A little bit harder for some of you. If you kind of struggle with making those tens, you kind of struggle with understanding going from ones to tens to hundreds. If you struggle with that a little bit, these might be a little bit tricky and hard for you. So don't get too anxious or upset if you were struggling with those. We'll definitely work on them some more. But you really, really, really need to know your combinations of tens. Guys, you got to be able to know what numbers equal 10, and you also need to know how to jump by tens. And not just starting at 10, 20, 30, 40. I'm talking, maybe 23, 33, 43, and even going backwards. So like maybe 75, 65, 55, 45. So being able to make combinations of 10 and also being able to skip count by tens. Really, really important math skills to help us be successful. All right, let's look at number 8. What combination of 10 helps you solve problem 6? Okay, so looking at these problems, what combination of 10 helped you to solve them? Well, if you know that 3 plus 7 equals 10, well, that combination helped you, didn't it? Because here you had to add 7 to get to that next 10. Here you needed to subtract 7 to get down from the 10. And then same thing here. Okay, knowing that 7 and 3 makes 10 should help you to solve these problems. All right, guys. I told you that this was going to be a really long video. I don't usually make really long videos like this, but if you're at home sick right now and you're just kind of working on your math class from home, again, you can stop and take breaks. You don't have to listen to this whole thing at once, but keep in mind, if you were at school, we have math class for an hour and a half, right? So if you're at home sick, or maybe we're doing home instruction and everybody's at home learning from home. Math class is an hour and a half long. So, I mean, right now this video is getting to be 35 minutes long. That might seem like a really long video, but that's how math class is too. But just like in math class, we would take some brain breaks. We might take a break and do something else. We might, play a little game or something. So give yourself those brain breaks if you need them. So if you need a brain break right now, because the next thing is going to kind of switch gears a little bit, go ahead and take that brain break, pause the video, and then come back. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to work on, and this is just review, finding elapsed time. We worked on elapsed time in Unit 1. So this workbook page is just a review page, which is really, really important because we don't want to forget how to do elapsed time. We're going to be using it all through the rest of the year and all through the rest of your life. So taking time to review every once in a while is really a good thing. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn in your workbook to this page 33. All right. And I want you to work on page 33. Again, I want you to pause the video. I want you to legitimately work on this on your own, see how you do, and then come back to me and I'll walk through it with you. All right, I really, really, really hope that you seriously paused the video and that you gave this a good effort. And now I'm going to go over these with you. Now, boys and girls, keep in mind when we are finding elapsed time, when they give us that beginning time and that ending time, and we're finding out how much time was in between, the best way to do it is to draw that open number line. Put your beginning time at the front of your open number line. So Ava leaves to go swimming at 4:05 and she returns at 4:57. Put that ending time, oops, sorry, put that ending time down there. That's really sloppy. Let me try that again. 4:57. Okay, and now we're going to jump on our number line by times. Okay, so I need to get from 4:05 to 4:57. Now guys, listen, remember, you may have jumped differently than what I'm about to jump right now. What matters is, did we both get the same answer in the end? Okay, you might have jumped by smaller jumps of time. You might have jumped by bigger jumps of time. So how we jump isn't as important as once we add up our jumps, did we get the same answer? Okay, so I'm going to follow our rules that we, are not really rules, but our little tips that we gave in class. Remember we said step 1 was to jump to an easy time. And so easy times end in zeros, right? So I think I'm going to jump 5 minutes and I'm going to get to 4:10 because that gives me an easy time that ends in 0. Okay, now again, knowing combinations of 10 or being able to skip count by 10 is going to help you with this. I still need to get down to 4:57. Now, tip number 2 is jump hours if I can. But look, did you notice that this is the 4 o'clock hour and this is the 4 o'clock hour? So I'm not going to be jumping any hours. I'm only going to be jumping minutes. So I don't know what I want to jump. Maybe I don't know, maybe I want to jump 20 minutes. Just because I know I can jump 20 minutes. Maybe you jumped just by tens. Maybe you jumped 30 minutes. Maybe you jumped 40 minutes. But I'm just going to kind of keep it to 20 minutes. So I know that 10 plus 20 is 30. So I got to 4:30. All right. Oh, I noticed I need to get to 4:57. I can jump another 20 minutes. Then that will get me 30 plus 20 is 450, right? 30 plus 20 is 50. Now look, boys and girls, all I need to do is go from 0 minutes to 7 minutes. Go from 50 to 57. I need to jump 7 more minutes. Again, you may have jumped differently than me, but let's add it up and see if we got the same answer. So I'm going to add all these minutes up. Let's see, I'm going to add my 20 plus my 20 and get 40. I'm going to go ahead and add my 5 and my 7 together and get 12. So now I got to add 40 plus 12 together and get 52. Okay, so if your answer was 52 minutes, then you got the correct answer. Okay? Again, if you jump differently, that's okay. All right, let's look at number 2. Devin rides his bike 4 miles. He rides from 10:15 to 11:20. How long does it take him to ride 4 miles? All right, so let's draw my open number line. If he starts his ride at 10:15 and he ends it at 11:20 to go that 4 miles, all right, so first jump, what did we say? Maybe jump to an easy time. So you may have jumped differently. That's okay. But I'm going to jump 5 minutes and get to 10:20. Oh, look how easy this is going to be. Check it out. I need to go from 10:20 to 11:20. Look, the minutes are the same. Am I going to have to jump any more minutes? No, but look, I'm going from the 10 o'clock hour to the 11 o'clock hour. So what am I going to have to jump? That would be 1 hour. And I'm there. So now add up my time. I'm going to add up all of my hours first and add up all of my minutes. Well, I jumped 1 hour, so my time is 1 hour. And then I jumped 5 minutes, so my answer is 1 hour, 5 minutes. So even if you jump differently, that should be your answer. All right, let's try this. It says Latoya leaves for school at the time shown on the first clock. She returns home at the time shown on the second clock. How long is Latoya away from home? So let's write down our times first. Look at the little hand first. Okay, that little hand is a little bit past the 8. Remember, when I'm little hand, I'm just going to choose the little number if I'm in between. Remember, when I'm little, I don't have to worry about the dots in between. Big hand, count by 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So first clock is 8:20. All right, now let's look at the second clock. Again, look at the little hand first. It's between the 4 and the 5. I'm little, so I'm going to pick the littler number of 4. And big hand, count by 5s. Well, I don't have to count by 5s. I know that this is one of my benchmark times over there, right? So 4:15. All right, so this is what time she leaves for school on the first clock, and this is what time she returns home. That's going to be several hours, isn't it? So let's go ahead and let's make our number line. I'm going to, because I'm working on a smart board here, I'm going to cheat just a little bit. I was going to try to cheat a little bit, but the numbers fell apart. All right, let's put these numbers here. I'll draw my open number line. So starting time is 8:20, ending time is 4:15. All right, guys, I'm already at an easy time, aren't I? I'm already at a time that ends in 0. So why don't I go to that next step? That next tip we gave you, step 1, get to an easy time. I'm already at 1. Step 2, count by hours. So let's just jump by hours, okay? I'm just going to skip count by hours, and I'm just going to keep jumping as I go along. So watch what I'm going to do. 8:20, 9:20, 10:20, 11:20, 12:20. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there just so that I don't get myself confused. I'm at 12:20. Now, guys, what comes after 12 on a clock? I just want to make sure that you know. 12:20, what comes next? 1:20, 220, 320. If I jump again, I'm at 420. I don't want to go to 420 because that jumps too far. Or, it's really not that far. I could go ahead and jump to 420. Okay. I'm going to show you something. Some of you may have done this. All right, so now guys, each of these jumps, I was skip counting by hours, wasn't I? So each one of these is a 1 hour jump. Don't get it confused with minutes or anything like that. I was jumping by hours. Let's say it again. So 8:20, 9:20, 10:20, 11:20, 12:20, 1:20, 2:20, 3:20, 4:20. So each of those were hours, but then look what's going to have to happen. The reason I went ahead and jumped past the time is I only went past by how many minutes? Only 5 minutes, right? So if I went 5 minutes too far, could I subtract 5 minutes? I could do that. Okay, so now let's count up all of my hours. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 hours, but wait, I got to subtract 5 minutes. So 8 hours minus 5 minutes. That's going to have me at 7 hours. And what would be 5 minutes? Just think back, 5 minutes would be 55 minutes. Okay? All right, now guys, I'm going to do it another way because maybe you don't want to subtract those minutes. Maybe that confused you. Okay? So let's start over again. Let's go from 8:20 to 4:15 again. All right, maybe I want to, you know what? What if I go ahead and jump 10 minutes to get to our benchmark time of 8:30? Right? That's another easy time. I didn't have to, but I could. All right, now let's count by hours. So 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. I don't want to go to 4:30 because that's too far. So I just skipped counted by hour. So each of these are hours. Hour, 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 hour. Okay, I'll go back and count those up in a minute. Now I got to get from 3:30 to 4:15. What if I jump 30 minutes to get me to that easy 4 o'clock? And I jump 15 minutes to get me to 4:15. All right, so now I got to add up all my hours, add up all my minutes. So again, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. Now I got to add up my minutes. I'm going to add up my, let's see here, I'll start with my 30. Plus 15 is 45. Plus 10 more is 55. Again, now I jumped 2 different ways, but I should still have the same answer of 7 hours and 55 minutes. And then as far as this where you're going to explain, then boys and girls, you could just show me your number line and explain how you jumped. All right, this was a really, really super long video. Hopefully you weren't at home sick having to watch this video because it was a really long one. But if you were, I hope you were able to get all of this done. And if there's anything that you don't understand, please let me know.